all week long, we're going to be celebrating some different recipes from our favorite cookbooks. I'll be back on Wednesday on the Suncoast View with several different foodies in our community, and they'll be sharing a recipe from their favorite cookbook. Ruth Reichel, who I love, was the editor of Gourmet Magazine. This is a great cookbook, and her recipe that she has for rice pudding is amazing, but I have to warn you, it's going to take a lot of pots and a lot of steps. But I love rice pudding, and I find this one really special. So stay with me throughout the hour. We're going to make a delicious jasmine rice pudding. I'm going to bring it up a notch with a little jarred pecan bourbon topping, and I think you're just going to love it for the fall flavor. So the first thing you want to do when you're making rice pudding, I'm using the jasmine rice. Basmati rice works really well. You need to rinse it. It's going to take about 3 times. I put in cold water and just swish it with your hands like this. And then you'll see how the starch comes up the top. So you'll just go ahead and drain that out. And then you're going to do it again until the rice comes out clean, or very close to clean. While it's still coming cloudy, you're going to have to keep doing this to rinse it through. But it's really worth it. You get out that extra starch from the rice now, and what will happen is it'll make for a creamier pudding. So after it's completely comes out the water clear, then you can go ahead and cook the rice for 10 minutes. Put it in boiling water, cover it, simmer it. Now the next step, which I already started, I'm going to add a quart of milk into the rice that was already cooked, separate pot. I put in a cinnamon stick. So that's going to start cooking together. We're going to simmer this, bring it to a boil, and simmer it for about 25 minutes. We're also going to add sugar, okay? So we're going to do 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Don't go over a cup, it'll be too sweet, because the rice really absorbs all those great flavors, right? So, okay, we're going to bring that up to a boil. Now over in this pot, we're going to rehydrate some raisins. So, and you can use currants if you want as well. You know, I didn't know my other grandmother too well, but I do remember that she did make a good rice pudding, and she used golden raisins. So it's honestly whatever you prefer. A lot of people make a rice pudding. They make the whole custard, and they'll put it in a water bath. This has a lot of steps to it, but you don't need a water bath. And if you're just patient enough, you'll be able to get everything together. So I'm going to rehydrate those raisins for about a total of 10 minutes. I've preheated the oven to 400 degrees. I'm going to keep simmering this down. When you come back, we'll add the egg yolks and the cream and start to incorporate that in the pudding, and it's going to be so delicious. Wait till you see what we go on top with. We'll be back to continue this delicious rice pudding recipe. Okay, so we have the rice that's been simmering in a quart of whole milk, and make sure it's whole milk. I have the cinnamon stick in there. Now to 4 egg yolks, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla and 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. The other part, the next half of the container of the whipping cream is actually going to be slightly whipped, and we're going to use that as well, not just as a topping, it's going to be baked in. So we're going to bring this together. And then we're going to add just a pinch of cardamom, that's my own touch, along with a little more cinnamon. We have some cinnamon that's cooking along with this beautiful basmati rice. And now we're going to add that. We're going to add the raisins. Into the raisins, I added the zest of 1 lemon as well. That's going to give it a really nice balance of flavor. So what you want to do so you don't cook the egg yolks, this is the part where you really have to be a little careful. So I'm going to take a ladle, and we're going to just put in about 2 smaller ladles of the hot rice mixture. You want the rice to cook down so it almost looks like a porridge when it's done. So now I can tell that we're tempering the egg yolks. I told you it was going to take a lot of bowls, but it's so good doing it this way. Now we're going to add this all back in, okay. Give that a good stir and get that balance right there. But do remember, take your time to temper those yolks. This rice pudding is very similar to what you'll find at Greek restaurants in that it's much more creamy than thick, but I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can make it if you prefer it to be a little more stiff. So you can bake that just in a regular pan like this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of that in there. I'm going to get some more rice. Whoop. So let's take that cinnamon stick out now. We're going to get some of that heavier rice that we're going to put in there. Oh, this is so good. We're going to top it with a little more cinnamon, and then wait for it. That slightly whipped cream is going to go right on top, and it's going to bake like this for 8 to 10 minutes. And when it comes out, it's going to be ready to feed to John Scalzi and just feel all that goodness. And we'll top it with a few surprises. I'll be back in a few minutes for a taste.
I am so serious. You have got to get this recipe. That's the best rice pudding I've ever had. It's
Awesome.
great. So
great.
good.
So I put in a few of my own touches, but clearly, you know, she has the base of it. So beautiful. Using basmati rice, I added the crystallized ginger. You can just get it in most stores like Fresh Market. And I added just a teeny spoonful of that bourbon caramel pecan sauce. Bring it up a notch.
Touch.
And just a burnt butter cookie, they call it. You know, you can buy those pre-made, and it just adds for a dinner party. This is the type of thing where you focus on the dessert and you make a simple, you could be having cheeseburgers for dinner, but you have the rice pudding as the main star of the meal.
It's absolutely awesome. You've got to get the recipe on our website, mysuncoast.com. Click on the dining link page. It'll take you right there with Chef Judy's instructions, video instructions, and the recipe as well, including her excellent additional touches to this dish.
Thank you, sir.
Bravo, bravo,
Thank you.
bravo.